All I did is
That's radio
say
fans.
I was at the Capitol Theater, and I was like, "Oh, I think
They said, okay, here's what they said.
let's
They
say
said,
it on the
well, we're on,
podcast
right?
I'll correct it.
Dan starts
I'll
recording
correct
everything.
what they said wrong.
I got news for you. Dan was to record the whole thing just now. And he's cutting it up for blackmail. Are we on?
I like this new table.
So
So they
listen.
mentioned the Bill Burr thing.
Right. Okay. So I'm here with Joe Matarese, first of all, who, I'll stop. I won't kid for a little while. I've known Joe for over 20 years, and he, I got along with Joe like instantly. I think I don't know. Maybe you have a different story. What's up, Dan? I can't.
Trying to figure out what water's mine.
I can't think.
Yours is the one with the ice.
Yeah, mine is always halfway
Yeah,
frozen.
that's what I remembered.
I've had a relationship with. I'm glad you brought this up. With ice. My entire life. We had no air conditioning from time to time, especially when we went down the shore, and I would put a pillow in the freezer. I couldn't sleep any other way.
Wow.
I'd put a pillow in the freezer at the Crusader Motel in Wildwood. We'll get to your troubles. But Joe's suicidal. I used to put a pillow in the. The Philly's doing well. I used to put a pillow in the freezer. Okay, at the Crusader Motel. I was sleeping 2 feet from my father, and I went to sleep that way because it was nice and cool. 3:00 in the morning, I would almost be drowning because it would melt. And my father would get up. The 70s were so much fun. I swear to God, my father had to climb a roof every day. He was never down. He got up and, let's go play ball. All right, let's beat up a fag. Okay? God, he was such a great gay basher. Because the gay people liked him afterwards. The gay guy still wanted to fuck my father after he bashed them.
That's the first time I've heard you say that your dad was never down. I, for some reason, thought that maybe he was a down.
Well, he ended up down. He was up all the time on a roof, and then he went down.
But when he was healthy, he wasn't down.
Oh, my father was, he wouldn't get, again, my father was not which is why the worst injury that could happen to my dad was a quadriplegic from the neck down. It couldn't be physical at all. Like, he loved reading the sports page, but he took a ladder off a van every day and loved doing it. I used to go to work with him. He would climb roofs like a monkey. I love how if you're Italian, you could say that. Anyway, fucking Artie Fuqua's father was a climb roofs. We have to say, oh, he climbed roofs like a guy. My father, I climbed roofs like a monkey because that's what it looked like. We can't say that about Artie Fuqua's father.
Well, don't you think guys that have jobs that are really hard are happy when they're not doing that job?
Well,
I always think that.
Okay, that's interesting. That's not true. If you go to a bar where a lot of construction workers hang out, a lot of them seem perturbed. Especially if you know what me and you do for a living, and it seems rather easy.
But when you punch out at I can remember having shitty jobs in my teens, and when you would be done, it was like fucking. You were so happy, that
right?
You weren't
but you're in
gonna
your
do that.
teens. This guy's 46, and his kid's graduation is coming up, and the one kid has a limp because there's a mysterious brain disease. No, after a while. Look, I loaded trucks at the port. I worked construction, but the port job, when I quit that job to try comedy, the guy who got me the gig was really insulted because, you don't find those jobs in the paper, first of all. And second of all, I'm playing 500 rummy and making 70 grand a year. Everybody was on the arm. It was just a job. And they all, it's an interesting dynamic here. They had this point of view. They all thought I was insulting my mother because they all knew my mom needed money. And I'm quitting this job. I gave her money those 2 years I worked there. And they're like, what are you doing? What are you, an asshole? What are you going to become a comedian? Your mother needs food. And they were right. But my mother insisted that I went for my dream, which was, buying 8 balls at a low price. I was getting into crazy shit down there, too. And I went to comedy, and, of course, everything was fine.
And you're not exadgerating when you say 70 grand.
70 grand. When I was 21 and 22, I made 70 and then 73 grand because I got overtime.
Wow.
I got overtime, and it was like the union. It was the early 90s, man, and the union was rolling. And that's not including what we called off-campus work.
Your friends must have been so jealous. Jesus, that's
Well,
a
my
ton of
friends
money back then.
Not as jealous as my friends are now.
What do you think that job pays now?
It got blown up. That's
It's
the problem.
gone.
The party's over.
The party's gone.
The party's over. Yeah, they broke the union. One day, that's why I quit. One day I showed up and there were 2 busloads of Portuguese guys who were working for, instead of 20, our rate was 19 an hour before overtime. They were getting 10. And a guy, this kid Eddie, handed me a Molotov cocktail and said, throw it at them. I said, okay. and I purposely missed. I did a Baba Booey. I hit an umpire. No, I said I can't do this. Well, I kill a guy, and I left, and that's the last time I was there. And I went to the guy who got me the job, and he basically was telling me, look, when Eddie tells you to throw a Molotov cocktail, you throw it. And I'm like, okay. First of all, he thought I was my friend Deej the entire time. He called me Mike the entire time. I think to this day he thinks Mike quit. He goes, Mike, I don't know. I know your mother needs money, and I did you a favor with this. I know my son loves you. You're best friends with him, but what's going to happen? I said, this is not good. You're going to be a comedian? I said, I'm going to try because it's sort of a dream. He goes, what do you mean, like James Caan? True story, James Caan. I go, I guess James Caan. How you going to do that? I go, the way James Caan did. 4 years later, 3.5 years later, I was on Mad TV, and I went back there, and he was so nice. I did benefits for them, and forget about it. A lot of the off-campus stuff I did came back. Oh, God. You can't get away from those guys for life, some of them. But a lot of my buddies had the same job, though. You see, because we're all friends with the same kid, and I had other buddies who were working as longshoremen, and not everybody got it. You had to be, quite frankly, competent, and I was compared to my buddies. So yeah.
So they had the same exact job as you, but you were getting 3 times more.
It's called a long. No. You make money with overtime.
Okay.
Yeah, and usually the older guys get the OT because they go to them first. But I lucked out that I was on a gang that had 8 people there, and all the older guys were just like, they all wanted to get away from their wives. They wanted overtime. They wanted to get the fuck out of the house. They all gambled for a living. It was like right out of Goodfellas. Right, there was a payphone where this guy's Gumad would call and his wife would call, and there was like a script next to it, and it would say Gumad's wife, and this is the conversation you had. That's right.
Wow.
And then you couldn't mess up. It's in Atlantic City. No, I'm not. In Orlando, Florida, at the condo. What the fuck are you talking about? That says Tampa. It says Orlando. And now the woman hears everything we're saying. There was a script next to the phone. Read this. Come here. You, read this. You know, right? That's for her, that's for her. They're both pains in the asses. His Guma stopped up one day. She was up from Florida smoking. And he got the job at 50 years old because he wanted to get away from his wife. He said, I play 500 rummy. About 5 guys owe me $80 a piece a day. I collect. And I did the math. He was making like $800 a day.
Jesus.
And we had scientists who worked there because they had to check the orange juice. They went to Harvard. Harvard scientists from wealthy families with white coats. They could not get us to stop playing cards. Like they couldn't do anything till we unloaded the ship. and we were playing cards like this, and the guy kept talking about the guy with the white coat would say, technically our boss, Artie, could you just come out? Don't move. Don't fucking move. If you move, you make us look like shit. Play cards. I'm looking at the scientist going, I don't tell you, Mr. Rabinowitz. Then he would tell the scientist guy, he'd go, I pissed in a fucking juice. Oh, God. Whole tanker full. I never saw him do it. I'm fucking with him. I pissed in a juice there, Bernie. He didn't know what his name was going, Bernie. Hey, Bernie, I pissed in a juice. That's a felony. Yeah, go fuck yourself. I worked right next to him, and he would sing for the first 3 hours. He would sing whatever song you just heard on the oldie station, CBS FM, and he would add curse words to it. So it would be like this: Cathy's clown, Cathy's motherfucking clown, twat clown, hey fucking Jude, you motherfucker Jude, for 3 hours. And we got OT, and he wanted to leave, so I got all the overtime. I lucked out that I got all the overtime. I just stayed there. There were times eventually you go to $40 an hour and you're just on a loop. If the ship was in, you had to make sure nothing happened. I slept there.
So you would just, okay.
Yeah.
Did you have to punch in? I mean, was it kept track of these overtime hours?
I'm glad you asked. I went there, Joe, in February of 1991. I worked there till April of 94. All I said in February 91 was, Al sent me. And the guy said, go over there. And I never filled out a paper. I got checks. I got overtime. I paid taxes. Never filled out a form. W-2 nothing. Matter of fact, every day I go, do I do something?
Were there ever? Well, don't you see that in some of these like mob movies where it was to a level where they didn't even have to go?
No, I had to go.
You had to go though,
Yeah,
but
I had to
there
go.
aren't there
It's called
guys
this-
that get paid without even
Yeah, they're
going?
called no-show job.
You don't even go.
They're called show no work, which means you show up, you don't have to work. But I wasn't at that level. I had to show up and work. But if you call it work, but everyone thinks we were loading orange juice like in crates. It all came in liquid concentrate form. We'd hook up these big hoses, and they would pump off, and we would play cards. The scientists from Harvard owed us all money to play cards. They put a pool table and they had to take it out. The one guy owed me $9,000. A scientist from Harvard.
Dude, I only have two things in my life that are those kind of situations, but on such a lower money scale.
Right.
Okay, like.
Stand up.
And it's going to even sound pathetic that I'm even going to compare it to your fans. Will probably be like, I can't even believe you compared that. But like one of them was as a teenager getting one of those paper routes where it was a 1 day a week like shopper's guide thing.
Yeah.
They would dump them all at my house, and you'd have to deliver them.
Yeah, I remember those.
Like I had like a route of 1,000
Right.
because they were just 1 day a week,
Right.
in this little plastic thing, and you hand them out, right?
That we call that a fag show, fag job.
Yeah. So I found a way to I would throw them all in the basket of my bike, this
Right.
massive basket. I would ride them all the way up to this schoolyard.
I picture you look like the Wicked Witch of the West with
it-
Toto in I'm going to deliver you, you circulars. I'm going to Cherry Hill East. Look out, Jews. Look out, a Dago from the bad side of the tracks is coming. Look out, gated community.
So I would take them up to this dumpster, and I would throw them all away, and then they would send me a check.
That's perfect.
But I was so lazy that
Yeah.
after about a couple months of that, I was like, I don't have time to be throwing these things away. That became too much, and I just quit.
Women, that's what white people will do. It's true. We can't. There was an amazing statistic. I heard it on Bill Maher. Oh, we got to show him what we did with Maher and Chelsea Handler.
I think I saw some of that. It's on YouTube, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
is it
saw
on
some of
YouTube?
that.
Yes.
I saw it somewhere.
There's this thing where she covers her face with a graphic, and she's sitting there, but like she kind of bombed, and then he covers her face with a bit, and he starts killing, and you can almost see like the director going. You can see her, and she is terrible. So, okay, they did a thing in California where they offered white people, this guy who had a peach farm, said, you know what, all these illegals, if you want them out of here, you could do their job. Teenagers and kids in college, white kids. And it was just picking peaches and doing like throwing out garbage and shit like that. Okay, half of them didn't come back after lunch. And like 78% didn't show up the next day. So like only 10%. Like white people don't, we've evolved. Even poor white people do not want to do that anymore. And even poor kids in the hood, I buy drugs from all of them, and they get everything immediately. Everything immediately because of the phone. So now a poverty kid is spoiled. Because what's spoiled? Getting stuff when you want it. That's the key element of being spoiled. It's not money. It's like, I want something right the fuck now. Yeah. I want to know what Guy Lombardo's niece's name was. Okay, boom, it's there.
And don't
you don't get it.
And I don't know if you're saying this is piece of the story, because one of the friends that I had that would get me some of these hard jobs when I was younger. His parents were his dad was from Texas, but his mom was from fucking Guatemala, Panama.
It's different values, man.
But don't you think immigrant parents have a strong work ethic, right?
Let me tell you something.
Because this guy was brutal. I mean, he would get these jobs that, like you said, we would quit really fast.
Right, you quit. That's the way you do it. I quit before I washed pots in a restaurant. And for 2 days, I got there with a reasonable amount of pots, and then it was like the Leaning Tower of pots. And I went, I'm quitting. I quit it. I'm not going to do it. Yeah. But the Mexican just left, my maid. I'm pretty sure I left shit in the bathtub. I shit in the bathtub by mistake because the toilet wasn't working. So she just cleaned it up. Sometimes I come.
Mistake.
Sometimes I cum blood, and I put it right on the toilet. Dan knows. Anyway. No, they'll do anything. If a maid doesn't speak English, I don't care what I do. I could leave a dead midget whore with a picture of me sucking its dick, and I go, just clean that up. If the woman's from like Philly, I can't leave it.
Yeah.
If she's from Mawa, I go, I'm so embarrassed.
He got me a job at like UPS, like with the guys that you have to go in at like 7 a.m. and just throw these massive boxes all day.
UPS is crazy. What do you have to do?
He's like, dude, he goes, it's not that bad of a job. You make really good money.
It is a great company.
He literally goes, dude, you're gonna need work boots and a weight belt. And when you hear weight belt,
yeah, I know, right? Bring your weight belt. You bring your weight belt. Keep your dignity home. Yeah.
He worked there for years. He got 3 of us friends. I met him in Camden County Community College.
Oh my God,
What's
that like?
Quit. I made it one day. A couple of my friends lasted like 2 or 3 days.
You want to have
was
fun?
There for years.
Go to Camden and commit a crime and see if a cop comes.
It wasn't in Camden. Camden County Community College isn't in Camden.
What a fun show that would be. Let's commit crimes in Camden and see what happens.
Nothing.
Like call in and I went, listen, I'm in the middle of Camden and I just killed a woman. I think she's a mother of 2, and I chopped her head off with a machete. I accidentally, I think I killed her daughter. And then I raped the carcass of the daughter. I'm right in the middle of Camden. And then we'll just see what happens. Like James Corden could host it. Your thoughts on James Corden? So what?
I hate James Corden.
Oh, we all do. I just want to have him just come out of the closet one day by saying, he's going to star in a musical called, Playing the Part He Was Born to Play, James Corden is Mitch Cumgillet. You ever watch that show?
No.
Oh.
I couldn't even watch him host the Grammys. That's what he hosted, right? I had a big fight with my wife the night he hosted the Grammys.
Well,
she likes him. I can't stand him.
Oh, my God. Well, it's because he's a woman. Because he has a pussy.
That's what I told her.
It's another broad getting fucking work. I mean, do you think if he dated Ellen DeGeneres, who would be the dude? He'd be the Portia de Rossi. And people hate him, too, because the day when Don Rickles died, I tweeted out, for you young kids who want to know what it's like for Johnny Carson to interview Don Rickles, you're in luck. Nick Cannon is on James Corden.
I saw you tweet
the guy, that's the most retweeted I ever got, because you know why? They all hate him. They all hate him. That proves they all hate his guts. They all feel like we do. So what the fuck's the deal, guys? Someone's fucking taking care of the quota.
That's
down at Gayville McGee.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly like how you would get paid to play Gin Rummy.
Right. It's Jim who?
Gin Rummy. Gin Rummy, you say, right?
Jim Rummy.
Gin Rummy.
But yeah, exactly.
He knows the right guys.
The talk show we were talking about. Okay, I saw Johnny Carson on a documentary about American Masters, and this is how much it's changed. James Corden is winning Emmys for singing with Adele, love songs. He does karaoke in a fucking car. Here was the monologue joke they showed in the first minute of the Johnny Carson. This is what they felt was his signifying bit. Ed, I was thinking about my high school girlfriend, Gina Statutory. Yeah, Gina Statutory. We used to call her Lincoln because everyone took a shot at her in the theater. Like this, with his head. And looks at it, and Tommy Newsom's like, Okay, let's break that down. Gina Statutory, rape. Statutory, Italian, an Italian like anti-Italian. Right there, James Corden gets fired. Statutory rape, fucking an underage. When you think of statutory, it means fucking an underage girl or guy, I guess, if you're James Corden. And by the way, allegedly. And then of course he shot at the theater, a Lincoln joke about killing Lincoln and taking it, basically raping her. Oh, and McMahon's like, so you raped a girl in high school? Tonight, Tony Danza. Tonight, Tony Danza. William Conrad. The series finale of Jake and the Fat Man. And Tiny Tim gets married. So now you're down in the dumps? What's the matter?
I was waiting for the segue.
What happened?
I was curious if you ever met Johnny Carson, though. But
No.
Never had him.
I met Barry Sobel, who met him. If you meet Barry Sobel, he's a comedian, in one story.
Don't let him use your hotel room. There's my tip.
Well, I mean, he fucked Dan's partner, right?
Whatever.
No, he didn't. Of course, Barry
I'm
Sobel.
trying to think
Okay.
what years you were at Mad TV. Was Johnny still hosting?
No, I got there. I got him Mad TV in '95.
When did he stop?
May of '92.
He stopped 92.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. He was, but Barry Sobel. When you meet this comedian, Barry Sobel, within 30 seconds, he shows you a clip of him doing his famous stereotype bit on Carson. Met Carson twice, and I started to take care of Barry Sobel because he said to me that he read my book and we have a lot in common. I said, "What is that?" I wasn't on Carson, and then there's the other thing I think of when I think of you, and that's a negative as well. Where do we get the in common thing? And he said that no, I have a drug issue. I'm like, okay. Then he tells me his three best friends after a few weeks are me, him, and Chris Rock, and Tom Hanks. And then he says, "Can I have money for a hotel?" And I said, "So wait, are we all equal best friends?" So it's Saving Private Ryan, the guy from Saving Private Ryan, the guy's playing the London Albert Hall for HBO. And I have an 11:30 spot at the comic strip. Us three. I had to pay for a week of him at the Paramount Hotel. And finally I called Chris Rock. And I kind of know, And, I know him, yeah. And I got his number through a kid who writes for him, who was my friend. And I said to Rock, he was very funny. He was Chris Rock. I left him a message. He called me back. He goes,
Oh, that's awesome.
He goes, "All right, man, fuck it, I'll call back." He goes, "Listen, I'm passing this off to Hanks." All right, I get it, but it's above you. It's above you on the food chain. He goes, "What are you standing outside Bananas in Poughkeepsie right now?" Every joke I had was for him involved Bananas, but I couldn't say it. If I said any of the jokes I thought were Bananas, he would have said, "This is show business. Bye-bye." No, he's a great guy. I've always had good interaction with him. But yeah, he said, "I'm handing this off to Hanks." I said to Sobel a couple times when he asked for another week of me paying. He didn't understand what incidentals were. I said, "Who are you dating? These strawberries are very expensive. None of these girls like all these girls like strawberries. And all these girls have big feet. What would you buy? All these girls you're dating. All these girls love meatloaf to eat. They seem all these girls had to shave their knees. All these girls were pole takers. So I said, okay, fine. And I'll tell you what, God bless. I said to Sobel, I said, does Tom Hanks have an apartment in New York City? He goes, "Yeah." I go, "Where is it?" He goes, "It's up on Upper Side." I go, "Is it big?" He goes, "Oh, God, yeah, it's like 9 bedrooms." I said, "Is he home?" And he said, "No." I said, "Well, let's give your other best friend a buzz." Let's give your other best friend Tom Hanks a buzz and see if one of the bedrooms are. I said, the fact that he's not letting you stay there, Barrett, doesn't that give you a sign that he's not a best friend? Like if I was someone's best friend and I had a 9-bedroom apartment in New York City and I was in New Zealand doing Castaway 2, I would probably say, "Listen, you're homeless, right? It's February. You could use one of the bedrooms." Use the bedroom that usually, I don't know, somebody else uses. Use the bedroom Andy Dick uses. The other guys from Taylor Negron is in town from Punchline as well. He says, yeah, so I get the feeling I'm the only best friend. But Rock, I was known for helping people, and he said, "I'm passing so thanks." And I never heard from Barry Sobel again. To this day, I have not heard from Barry Sobel again. So Chris Rock knows what he's doing.
Good move.
I said, "I'm calling Chris Rock. I can't take this anymore." I felt guilty, but what the fuck? So now what's going on?
So
Are you okay?
I don't know.
As I was starting to say at the beginning, I've known Joe for a long time. He's one of my best friends. We worked together all over the country. I got lucky enough to play Carnegie Hall because I was on Stern, and Joe was the first person I called. He destroyed. Hosted the show, set the tone by calling someone a cunt to Carnegie. To this day, he might be the only person who's ever done that.
Yeah,
Actually, maybe Ishak Stern.
it's probably not a good. I did not set the tone well.
You were
that night.
great. No, you set the tone well. One of my cousins was in the back trying to fucking oboe. And I no, it was you killed. And I'm saying there's that close a friend. And I don't know what I've known your wife since you met her, really, and of course, again with Twitter, everybody called me and said you had a meltdown on your podcast, and I said, well, Joe was smarter than that. I think maybe he planned on talking about this. Did you plan on?
Well, I didn't have a meltdown on my podcast.
Well, that's what they say.
I talked about having a meltdown
Right.
on my podcast.
That's a classic mistake.
There's a difference.
That's a classic mistake, Bob Levy.
But it was funny when you called and left a message, and it was very nice of you that you did that, and you said
Bill Burr
you
wouldn't do
can't have and you said you can't have a meltdown. What did you say? You can't have a nervous breakdown in private anymore.
Right? Yeah, pretty much.
It's like you have one and you tell everybody about it.
Right, that's what it seems like. Everybody's got to. And now, if somebody you're acquainted to, like if you brushed up against somebody 14 years ago and they die, you got to tweet about it.
Yeah. Well, not even that. It's like that's just how we are now. You're like, okay, something bad happened, and I'm going to either talk about it on my podcast
Right.
or I'm going to turn it on Periscope and I'm going to talk to everybody about it there. And
You know, I a lot of people have told me. Howard actually told me the last time we had an honest conversation. He saw he blamed me for that part of culture because his show got blamed for a lot of stuff in culture. Like they always blamed the Stern Show for this, that, the other thing. You know, strippers walk around with mayonnaise on their ass. And so I was on his show and, talked about anything, quite frankly. And I was getting rewarded for it because, I was selling tickets, blah, blah. It wasn't calculated, but he thinks I put it towards that, the country in that direction.
that didn't exist before that is what he's saying.
Well, in the way you
In
just
the way
said.
you
like,
guys did it daily.
And talk about it publicly.
Share it.
Something like I shit my pants on coke, and I talked about it in front of 20 million people.
Right.
And I'm getting rewarded for it.
Right. And they weren't old stories. You were talking about what happened the night before.
Couple were old, but a lot of times then what happened was, and he liked that, of course, because it was current. It would be what happened on the road.
Right.
Like the time you and Teddy thought I was dead.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah, I talked about that the next day. A guy can't have a hooker for 14 hours. That was so funny. You guys couldn't enjoy where was that? The Hard Rock in Vegas?
Oh, yeah, that was.
8 p.m. show, I overslept. 8 p.m. What happened is, you call a whore and you go, why would I leave? I had the same socks on I had on the plane when I got on stage. Showered in the same socks. And then you're trying to pay the whore. It's so fucking awkward. I said, do you like comedy? You want to come to the show? No. You don't like comedy? No, I like comedy. I'd rather have the $700.
But you're definitely not a celebrity that likes to have an entourage and get the cabana. And
Well,
go
they
hang.
offer
You're
it
not
to
really
you.
That guy.
Well, they offer it to you back then, and we would, like you guys, if you guys wanted to go, like
you would get it for us, but you're not really that guy.
No. I'm a junkie. I was like, I like drugs. I know I still do.
That's what I always try to accept. Being your friend, like you get so many of these, and Dan, you probably get it too. It's like you think people don't understand Artie, right?
They don't.
They call. They'll text me or call me, and they ask for stuff that involves Artie. That you're like, do you watch the new? Like, Artie's a drug addict. So do you know what that means?
Right.
Like,
Well, sometimes they don't know what it means.
No, and they think
Not
that
to the
they
extent
can,
that I am.
Oh, can I need to call him because I know how to help him? Like, no, dude, we all want to help him.
Yeah.
He wants to help himself.
Right.
It's not that fucking easy.
No, it's not.
Dick face.
It's
shut
not.
up.
And then you guys did the exact right thing after a while. Just ignore it. No, again, you guys were the closest to me, and you get it. Like, it's like when you gotta wanna have. I don't have. My friends are not great. I'm not including you. I'm talking non-show business friends. They're not exactly billboards for marriage. They really aren't. There's a lot of misery. And when I'm buying drugs in Newark, I'm like, I'm happier. Would I rather be here or a soccer game? I'd much rather be buying drugs in Newark than going to my fat kid. Hey, you're good at soccer. I'd rather be telling my Puerto Rican drug dealers, fat kid, hey, You're good at running drugs over to me for your father.
No, I mean, you get it. You get it. Well, you've never done drugs in front of me. I don't think I've ever, and I've known you a long time. I don't think I've seen you drink alcohol, but I've never seen you do drugs.
Well, you never know.
You
You're a bit of a goody two shoes. You never know who's gonna rat on.
No, but when I hear like,
I've never done drugs in front of Dan. He's been living here forever. I can't get rid of him.
Well, when I hear when I watch an Hollywood story about Johnny Carson, I'm like, oh, that's kind of arty. His personality,
except for the yacht,
arty. Except for the yacht, but the personality.
What? Johnny Carson got my personality?
A little bit.
Oh, okay. No, what do you
Or
mean?
they'd rather just kind of, they want to kind of be
hate people.
They don't want to. Yeah, they want to be with.
But I don't hate people.
You don't
Honestly,
hate
Joe,
people.
I love you. I care about you. I really do. I think you have a complete awful resentment towards me. I don't know why.
No, you don't think that.
Yes, I do.
A
I really
resentment for what?
Well, I don't know.
Your career?
No, not career. No, the fact that I think that I'm a fat slob, and that's the reason why, not talent. And I agree with this. Is the reason why maybe I've had a little more success because I'm a fat slob. I look like John Belushi.
No.
And it's not that I'm more talented than you, and I'm not. It's that I look like John Belushi, and I think you hate that. Your thoughts?
No, really? No. I think.
You think Bill Burr's more talented?
I think if you look like John Belushi, but you're not funny. I mean, you're fucking funny.
Well,
I mean, I don't think.
What's
I don't
the first
ever
time
go,
you've ever said that?
I don't ever go.
I had to pull it out of you.
Come on, dude. I talked about it on the
kidding
on
around.
the live.
I'm kidding around. Dan says that. I go, Dan, I think Dan's trying. Dan hates anyone who gets close to me.
But even on that live podcast, I said I have to air this because you, Jim Norton, and Anthony Cumia were so fucking funny.
Yeah, but you understand, if any one of us, here's what I try to explain to you. Thank you, but you're on the funny. We're all on the same level of funny. If any one of us were sitting hosting it, we all would have taken shit.
Sure.
Right. So that, and quite frankly, it's really cool of you to sit there with us three, the biggest curmudgeon, and the only thing we're good at is launching missiles.
Well, it's funny because I'm like,
it's ballsy.
If I wasn't filming it for the pilot, I wouldn't have gotten a little flustered.
Were you mad?
I wasn't mad. I just knew that I couldn't use it.
I wasn't
mad.
Well, I wanted the other thing I tried to do is, again, when you're a comic, you try shit that doesn't work. At the end, I left and didn't come back on purpose. I wanted to get a laugh.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were going to do another 2 hours.
Yeah.
I said if I go back now, it ruins the job.
But dude, I thought it was so funny
Right.
that it worked on a whole other level. To the point where I contacted you guys saying,
I know.
"Well, let's do this again." But I
would
at
do it
least
again.
so I know what it is going. I don't mind. I like getting made fun.
Well, why
of.
don't
It
we
doesn't
try
bother me.
hosting? We'll try one of us. I'll do a podcast where I host and I say it's to help me. We're all cynical. We're all so cynical. I'll help you off
You
the
would
air.
never ask for help. You're not that guy. You don't
That's
do
right.
that.
Well, why don't we do one when I'm asking for drugs? No. So the other thing too was, and you said this as well. It happened to be a night where all three of us were absolutely on fire. I Norton was as funny as ever, and I've said a lot about Jim Young. He was so funny, and Anthony, and I'm like, wow.
Well, that's what I was trying to explain to people, and I don't really know if people realize this, and I think you would agree,
right,
that as those three types, you guys are similar. Jim Norton, Anthony Cumia, very quick-witted,
right,
very good at making fun of something as it's happening.
And we all have a reason to be angry.
So you add that to a guy
right.
who's one isn't as good at that, and two, I'm good at
you're
things,
funnier.
but I'm good at something
you're
different.
You're funnier. Like I said, you wanted life in a lot of ways until the podcast the other day. But but you're funny though.
But yeah, I don't think that I'm not funny.
Not
it's
that
just
mean way.
In a different way.
Right.
In a different way. When I say mean things for some reason, sometimes they don't even get laughs because people are like they think it's really mean. Whereas
you look
guys
like
can
too
do
much of
that.
a winner.
Maybe that's what it is.
Absolutely, it is.
I remember I said the mean.
You're Anthony Cumia without the acting.
I said the meanest thing at the Jim Florentine roast.
What's a roast?
And I think it worked because I had to bring my honesty into it, which was I feel really uncomfortable saying I can't say this.
It wasn't about his dead girlfriend.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And it was like something about Oh no. It was not only about his dead girlfriend, it was about Greg Giraldo, who also just died, combined in one joke.
Now it's funny.
Yeah. And there were people there from those sides of the family in the audience. It was a fundraiser.
Oh my God. For suicide or something?
No, it was a Jim Florentine roast, but Cringe Humor did it. This was years ago.
Well, that's
And I'm
good.
trying to remember why Greg Giraldo's family.
They had
was
just
involved.
died. And why would they go to something like that? A roast and he just died?
Trying to think what the fuck the reason we were maybe raising money for. That was the joke. I said, why are we I got honest. I go, why are we raising money for Giraldo's kids? I go, I don't know if you're aware of it, but Greg was making $500,000 for the last 10 years straight. I go, I'm at City Steam in Hartford this weekend. Where's my fucking benefit?
Well, first of all, if that were true about Giraldo, he wouldn't have died at the Hilton by the Stress Factory. Oxycontin aren't that expensive.
See, people don't really but he was probably making about 500
Doing
G's.
very well.
Yes,
He's doing very well.
that's it's not
Well, I
good
don't
enough
know.
to make you happy though, but it's good enough for
Never.
a comedian to be doing pretty well.
Listen, I've said this before, because we're 50. I might as well just say everything. For 5 years in a row, from 2003 to 2008, I was making $4 million a year every fucking year. I was never nearly as happy as I was in 1978. It's just because it means nothing. I mean, I got Teddy banging on my door. No, it does. And I never, I just was miserable. But because everything you wish for comes true, and the schedule becomes a bear, and you're like, it's really crazy.
Well,
but
Well, I was glad that you called when you heard that I did a podcast about feeling down.
Right.
And to be honest, your voice comes into my head sometimes when I'm feeling down because I can remember advice you gave me once. This is probably 10 years ago.
yeah,
Because one of the reasons why I had this big blowout, I guess you would say, is I'm trying so fucking hard.
right,
And I'm nonstop trying so fucking hard.
yeah.
That
At career stuff.
Yeah, career stuff, nonstop, all day, every day. So when it's
Right.
not hitting, or when you get bad career news, it hits you harder.
Yeah.
So, and I always think of you because I remember years ago you said to me, "Dude, just work on your stand-up and nothing else." Like you used to always say,
Focus
"Just
on
focus
something."
on the stand-up."
Right.
And you used to go. Don't because I'm
Well,
writing
why? Because
scripts,
I hope you know why I
shows.
said that. It's because you're great at it. Like, here's the thing. The special you just had that you wanted me to help you edit, I felt like saying, like, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing here to edit. Like, your special is a guy who is clearly a master stand-up comedian. A guy who's been doing it for a long time. The jokes are funny. I've known you for 25 years. I don't know one joke. I said, a couple. But I said, this is a guy whose timing is perfect. He's a fucking great comic. And if you like the stuff you've gotten edgier in your life because you were a little more honest about things, and I said, this is a perfect set of stand-up comedy. Who really appreciates it? That's the depressing part. Nobody knows what the fuck a good set of comedy even is. Nobody really appreciates what you're doing there. I do. But do the managers and executives that are fucking 20 years old who want you to tweet something about Ashton Kutcher, do they know what you're doing? No, and that is so fucking frustrating. The last time I did Conan, or 2 times ago, there was I was at UTA, biggest agency supposedly, right? And a guy's assistant comes, not even my agent, his assistant comes. He's like right out of UCLA, and I killed. I'm so proud of myself for killing on Conan O'Brien. The kid clearly was texting the entire time or emailing, and then he's like, he just gave me a fake compliment that shows he didn't know. What was your favorite joke? Like, the whole thing with the crowd. That's what he said. And then he's like, because I was out there doing for a paperback of my book, and he goes, you think you'll know a lot of famous people? Can they tweet about it? Like, killing on Conan was so secondary to it, and
Right.
your special was a great example of stand-up. How many people in this didn't even know? Like, people who don't deserve it have hours.
Well-
and you're a better comic than probably 25 of the people on Rolling Stone's 50 pounds. And that's what becomes frustrating. That's what people don't realize.
Well,
I
that's
know
where I
when
get-
you have a breakdown, or when I have a breakdown, we all do. We all do. People. That's where you're justified. That's where I agree with you. I have no advice. You should be mad. like I'm mad for you.
Right.
There's people who are never going to be in your league as funny, who may or may not have a show in the Midwest and try to bring up your name a lot. We're talking about complete assholes, people who you would hope get AIDS. Like when you see them, I hope that guy, the next time he goes to the doctor for the flu, the doctor says, you're actually HIV positive. You have full-blown AIDS. And you probably got it from yourself. There's no one who likes you. I have all your friends and family come to me. All of them hate you. And this is a hypothetical guy. Doesn't exist. And will never in a million years be a fraction as talented or as funny as you are. Or myself, quite frankly. But they tried to make prank calls to people like Esty. So, because they're nothing. Because they're actually, if you saw some toe fungus, you would go, that guy's the fungus underneath the fungus. And if he gets laid, it's got to be by someone, a pity situation. Or I guarantee there's a lot, this is a hypothetical person, doesn't exist. Probably has rapes. Probably has raped people. Probably has held a girl down and scared them with an impression of Joe or me. And they go, who is that? That's a comic I know. And right in front of the girl, ties a girl up, a chubby girl, who he roofied. And because she's so heavy, she had too good of a metabolism. He had actually tied her down with the roofie because she was 280 pounds. And had a mustache. And that's the hottest chick he's ever been with. And he realizes that, so he gets madder at her. And he punches her in the face and she laughs because he's got a terrible punch. He's flimsy. The only thing that's worse about him, as far as comedy's concerned, is how untough he is and awful. And now he's flimsy from the age because it's kicking in and some of the sores are opening. And he makes the woman torture. He goes, I'm going to do an impression of Joe and Artie. She goes, who is that? Now she starts to cry. They're comics, I know. And they're more successful than me. And again, this guy doesn't exist. And I'm going to call this person. Who's this? Esty. Who's she? Just forget about it. She's very tough. Well, listen to me. Hi, it's Joe. It's Artie. I have a spot tonight. Now the girl starts to cry more. Now she somehow breaks loose because he can't tie a knot well. Because he's very, very weak. And then he gets to a phone and somehow calls the police, but accidentally calls us me and Joe. And they're fans of us, so they come. And then they realize it's him. And then they beat him to death with a Tommy gun. That's why you should be mad. They beat this hypothetical person to death with a Tommy gun.
Well, it did start from a normal place, which was, my man.
Well, now wait a minute. You said you had talked about a breakdown.
Yeah.
What was the break? I don't even know that. What was the breakdown?
Well, I was feeling, I don't know, like just.
You had an episode somewhere and you talked about it, or the episode wasn't on air? You said you didn't have a breakdown on air. I talked about it.
Right.
Well, where did that happen?
It happened in my life,
But just in general, it wasn't one specific thing. Like you had a bad week where you had
no, something. Well, it was a lot of bad shit was going on, and then there was a.
Okay.
Right. I know you can relate.
The dam broke. Right. Okay.
Well, let me think of where you can name
once
a
week.
You could probably name your four major ones.
Okay. Well, no, I hope they weren't that bad. I've had terrible things, but where did it happen? Where did it happen?
You usually broadcast.
Where did it happen?
It happened in a car.
Yeah.
In a car.
Okay.
It turned into an argument with my wife.
Okay.
And
you talked about that on the air.
I told the whole story, but I talked about what happened leading up to it. So I started with a gig that I did Saturday at a social club where I was embarrassed to be Italian.
Right.
I said I wanted to take the vowel off my name. I was like, if this is what it is? I said, I don't know what happens from Italy to New Jersey, but and I was just saying all this really
at some point in the middle of the Atlantic, you get a gold chain.
Yeah.
Like,
but they were laughing.
It's a funny bit, man.
Yeah, but they were laughing. They were laughing, and it probably could be a funny bit.
It is. Can I have it?
But but it felt a lot like Chris Rock doing the black people versus. I'm like Italian making fun of Guidos.
He said niggers versus black people.
Yeah. So like an Italian versus some fucking.
Do you think there's
low-life
Italians
Guinea.
versus Guido, Guinea, or whatever? Like,
Or what would you call it? A Goomba?
A nigger.
Or what's a low level Italian?
Nigger. There's Italians, and there's Italians and there's niggas.
Nigger.
I love Italians. I hate niggers.
I hate a nigger. Yeah, so that's where it kind of started to have. I was like, I'm doing this.
So that
gig.
pissed you off.
I was just like, just annoyed, but not to the level where I blew out on stage though.
Right.
Did the show, whatever. Didn't even realize that maybe it was making me a little annoyed.
You did what any good comic would do. You didn't blow it on stage. You blew it in the car with your wife.
No, well, it's just like days late. But then, it really got to the next level when I got an email from my manager saying,
Dorfman.
"Yeah," and this would make you so mad,
Right.
So I had this development deal with a pretty big production company in L.A.
Right.
And I think I've said this before on your show. It's no money now. They trying to attach a writer.
That's a new development deal, right?
They're like, no money, and we're in a holding deal for
think about that.
12 months.
Think about it. They're telling you it's going to cost you money because obviously, even if they pay for a flight, something's going to happen where you spend money you wouldn't have spent.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
But because nothing happened, there wasn't any money.
Oh, my God.
There wasn't ever a time where they went, this writer wants to meet you. You need to fly to. There
So
wasn't
nothing.
nothing.
So in other words, your life was the same as if you didn't have the deal.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Right.
So imagine getting an email. Yes. So imagine getting an email
From Rick Dorfman.
from Rick Dorfman 11 months in after it's at a 12-month deal going. I talked to her, and she said that, she's just going to move forward, and, she's going to let you out of the deal. Basically,
And
she doesn't want to hold you up any longer.
Right.
I go, a whole 30 days before it ends? Oh, man, I needed you for the rest of this story. We're losing Artie. It's going to go shit.
Let's hear it.
All right, let me tell you something. Marty.
Man, that's bad.
That's terrible. When do you start the impression? Is this Howard Stern or Beth Stern?
That's Isaac Stern. Was that a joke or something?
No, I was laughing, and I was not in it.
Joe, you were saying? I feel like Comics Unleashed now where I'm giving Joe a setup.
That's Joe you were saying.
Joe, I understand you hit your wife in a car. I told you.
I did not hit my wife in the car, by the way.
Of course not. Of course not. Did you ever hit your kid?
No.
Joe's not the coolest kid, man. That's the other. What about that? Why don't you be happy about that? That's a cool kid. He's got no sense of humor. He doesn't laugh at anything I do.
I told you, man.
He's got that great swing. He's a cool kid. Hetero. What about that? Now, were you excited about that part of your life that your kid's gonna? I mean, Luca's gonna be. You're going into those years where you're playing catch. Do you think about that at all?
What does Rick James say? It's cocaine is the.
What, you do coke to play catch with your kid?
No, I'm just saying that when.
Wait, do I have coke on me?
When you're depressed,
Do I have coke on me?
I must be depressed.
Are you?
That you can't enjoy obvious enjoyable moments.
And your kid, you can't enjoy them. Is
Well,
that what you're saying?
My wife actually mentioned that she's like, I see disappointment in your. I notice that your son is like, he wants more attention.
All right, look,
he
I
wants
love
you to hang with.
Look, I love Steph. She's a modern woman, and she's very intelligent. Quite frankly, smarter than me. I know it, but that is some modern day woman stuff. Where that is digging at you. That is really like, wow. I want you to fucking cry. To say that about your son, I see disappointment in your son. Maybe he's happy you're not paying attention to him. What would be worse? What would be worse thing to say?
You know
that
what?
He's happy you're not talking to him.
I noticed it, but it wasn't.
Oh
easy
no,
to
you
address.
didn't, because she's a modern woman who's smarter than us, and she's putting thoughts in your head. No, that's your son. I mean, that's like what if you said, "I notice our daughter wants more attention." To you, from you.
If I said that
to her, yeah, what would happen? I don't think anything good would happen.
I don't think that would.
She'd up this Alexa. Is she prescribing the dope? Okay, so you have a shrink that's giving you pills. Do you have a talk person, like a psychologist? Do you have talk therapy with? Do you get talk therapy?
I have to with this psychiatrist. I've only been
You
seeing
can't
her
get
for
the
a couple
pills.
of months though. But I always got the pills just for my regular.
You're not
doctor.
dating her.
My regular doctor.
You're not dating
What?
her. You're not dating
Not
her.
dating
You're
her. No.
seeing her.
No, not dating her.
It's not a Lorraine Bracco.
No.
Did you ever go there with somebody's tooth in your cuff?
Oh.
That's my favorite ever when he gives the guy the curb job. And they're having some therapy about his kid. I was self-medicating, guys. Did you ever think that? He finds the tooth.
Oh, it is.
That's where The Sopranos was on another level as a TV show. That's why you can never, like NBC can never make a mob show. I hear that, yeah. The Mafia Don, the Tony Soprano characters being played by, Rob Lowe or something. one of the Andrew McCarthy is the Clemenza. It's terrible. And you're actually trying not to laugh at that. And if we go back and say, I laughed at the Andrew McCarthy.
I didn't get it. I got to be honest.
What do you mean you didn't get it? Because they all forget it. Do you know the episode I'm talking about?
No, I didn't see.
You
that.
never saw the episode?
I missed a lot of Sopranos episodes.
I thought you were a huge Sopranos
You
fan.
do Tony Soprano.
I do.
You do the impression.
I've seen a lot of the first couple seasons, and then I think I got rid of HBO or something.
Why is that? No money?
Probably.
Oh, come on.
I'm
Now,
serious.
now you're getting hostile.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, sure.
Just being truthful. I didn't see that episode.
It's one of the most famous episodes where he
didn't
gives
see
the guy a curb job. The kid's hitting on what's her name? Dylan. What's her
Meadow.
name? Meadow. And she's with her boyfriend, who's like a flimsy fuck.
Uh-huh.
And he puts like whipped cream from the cappuccino on her face, and he's like, what's that, honey? And hits on her kind of.
Right.
Goes home. Meadow goes home crying and tells Edie Falco, and she's like, "Don't tell your father." And of course, he finds out. Goes to the cafe and finds the guy, and does the thing where he makes him bite the curb.
Oh.
And-
like American History X.
Right.
But American History X, the guy kicked the guy's neck and killed him. Does he
Well,
kill him?
Almost. Guy's in a coma.
He kicks the guy like.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
And the guy's tooth came out and went in his cuff of his pants. But Tony Soprano doesn't know this. So the next scene is they're in therapy with their son, and there's a yuppie shrink, and they're literally having conversations like she caught him smoking pot in the 9th grade at his confirmation, and he's saying stuff. Tony Soprano's like falling asleep. He can't believe he's there, and he goes like, do you ever think I was self-medicating? And can you believe he did that? And Tony Soprano's saying what he thinks the shrink wants him to say, like, it's appalling. I'll talk to him at home. And then he finds the guy's tooth. It's appalling. It's appalling. He would smoke a little pot at his confirmation. I'll talk to him.
he just pulls it out.
No, he just sees it. No one
he
else
just
sees
sees
it. No one else sees it. He goes, and he sees. He goes.
Oh, God.
He like puts it under the
That's
cushion.
hilarious.
Cut to the shrink getting arrested for murder. No, yeah, so you're not, so here's how you answer. If someone says to you, Joe, are you a fan of The Sopranos? Go, no. Just say no. That's like the last episode. We were talking about it on the Stern Show, and I knew they didn't watch it like I watch it. Robin's black. And, the blacks don't like it as much. They don't. Just like I don't like the show Empire. What's it called?
That's it.
Is it called Empire? The one with
Yeah.
what's the guy's name from Chicago? The lead actor. He's a great actor.
Oh, Terrence.
Denzel Washington.
Terrence Howard.
Yeah.
Terrence Howard. Right, exactly. Good actor. But I don't like that as much as black people like it. And I'm an Italian. There's no way you could like it as much as me. I would tell Howard that because they talk about bakeries I've been to. The last scene's at Halston's. I used to go there all the time. And then when those 4 black kids walked in, I'm like, okay, something's odd.
But also, if there was a bad show about Italians, you would hate it even more than a normal person.
Well,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Because it was so bad, it was obvious to you.
Like Blackish. That was my favorite tweet ever that people get so upset about because, and actually Anthony Anderson retweeted it and said, good one. But you remember Blackfish, the documentary about the orca whale that there's a blackfish. How do you
How do you live?
How do you write a joke? How do you do that?
You missed
never
the
saw-
documentary about
No, it was won the fucking Oscar. Right? It was up for all the Oscar. Yeah.
It won all the awards.
Sorry.
It was about how they treat the whales.
You were
at
busy
those-
upping the Selexa. You were busy asking Bill Burr if he's around. No,
I'm a bit busy letting my son down. I thought you were gonna say.
that would have been better. I could have done it though. Yeah, well, no. You know why you should have been watching it? Because you weren't paying attention to your son.
But that's how I feel like that's how depressed I've been. Like I can't even tell you the last show I've watched. I haven't gone to the movies.
So the selection's
haven't really
working.
done much.
Selection's working.
No, I'm wondering if I need to up it or something.
Yeah, that's what you should do. That always worked for me.
Just up it.
Do I need doctor? I'm thinking I need more heroin. Actually, that did always work. That's when I ran out of it. I'm telling you, you people who don't know drugs, junkies never rob a gas station when they're on heroin. It's when they're out of it. Okay. So, fun's over. No, what was I even talking? No, okay, Blackfish was it. See, this joke is so good. Blackfish was a documentary about an orca whale at Sealand, whatever the big thing is.
SeaWorld.
Ate a guy's head.
Oh, I remember.
Right. And they made a documentary called Blackfish because they call him Blackfish. So Blackish is with Anthony Anderson, that show. So I tweeted, I said, congrats to NBC, Blackish, about Anthony Anderson eating a trainer. Blackish. And he loved it. You loved it. I was going to do Black Fishburne because Lawrence Fishburne did it, but it wasn't as good. What was your joke about the Chinese guy getting ripped off the plane? You've heard of that, right? Wait a minute, Dan. There's a chance he doesn't know about it.
no.
What am I talking about? United Chinese guy. What does that mean to you? All right, we're stopping the podcast. Next time someone asks you, "Are you a comedian?"
The
say
guy
no.
who got in the fight with the United people. Is that what you're talking about? United Airlines? Is that what
You
you're
tell
talking
me. What am I talking about? No, it wasn't a fight.
about? All right.
It was a blatant disregard for a man's rights. It wasn't a fight. I mean, what happened? Do you know the circumstances?
They wanted him to give up his ticket.
Right.
And
Why?
he made up some bullshit excuse that he had some important business.
That's not true.
Wow.
Why'd they want him to give up his seat?
So he's like all Chinese people? Making up a bullshit excuse?
You're asking me why did they
Yeah,
ask him
why?
to give up his seat?
Yeah, why?
Well, let me see if this was like a month ago.
Yeah.
They oversold the is that the one you're talking about?
Right.
Am I wrong? All right.
You're wrong about something like major.
But this wasn't a month ago?
I don't know the exact date. It was about 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. Let's start with who the president is. No, 2 weeks ago.
I'm doing my
Are you nauseous? You keep touching your
A
face.
little
I'm so worried about you. You are so pilled up.
uncomfortable the way I'm sitting.
Well, then lean back.
I'm not on the microphone.
Well, then pick up the microphone. What the fuck? Do I have to draw a map?
It's not the kind of mic you have.
Well, hold it like that.
Pull it up. Oh, okay.
You're comfortable with a black
Yeah.
cylindrical object?
It only weighs about 38 pounds.
Yeah.
Hold that for 3 hours.
More than I can say for your brain. No, come on. What do you got? You're opening for Barry Sobel. No, what? So where are you opening? Are you
I'm
doing?
shooting a special.
You're doing the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Yes.
Hey Joe, who's the vice president? Are you gonna do Colbert? He's up on this. So where are you gonna do? When are you doing the special?
I'm
again?
taping the special May 12th at Helium Comedy
And you're going to
Club.
start editing May 11th? And?
And what?
Is that it? That's only one?
Tickets for sale on joematarese.com if they want to come and be in the audience of the special.
Right.
It's called The Poster's Wrong.
Right. Okay. Now tell me about this. The poster's wrong. Now it's from a movie.
Yes.
Dan,
know
do you
what
know
it's
what
from?
movie? I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think so. Now, Dan, what movie?
The poster's wrong.
How the fuck can you not know this? You're a comedian.
He's not a comedian.
You are.
Yeah, well, I'm asking him. I think I know what it is.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's Spinal Tap. No?
No.
What is it? What is it?
You know my favorite movies. I have about 2, and you probably know my favorite movie
Rocky.
of all time.
Rocky. Yoda poster's wrong.
You
It's
remember-
not poster though.
Yeah,
It
that's what he
doesn't say
says.
poster. It's Yoda. The picture's wrong.
He says the poster's wrong.
It's just the picture's wrong.
You want to look up? I'll play it for you right now.
No, the poster. I know. So he has because he has the wrong color. Now, do you know the history behind that? They really did it wrong, and they had to do the. They didn't have a budget to redo it.
Oh, his shorts,
Oh, I didn't know
right?
that. I
His
didn't
Yeah, the
know.
shorts.
The trunks.
If you watch the documentary, which is one of the most fascinating, like they have those making of those classic '70s movies. They have Jaws. Jaws is tough to beat, but the Rocky one is so fucking amazing because stuff. It's known as the mother of necessity is the mother of invention type thing, where they had no money and they had to do a bunch of.
it's the first movie they ever used the Steadicam.
And the Steadicam was invented
Yeah.
on that movie, and the guy who invented it almost like he's got money as if it's residuals. And I met that guy. Guy worked on a little movie called Dirty Work. Was an orphan. I'm not kidding.
Wow.
With
Did
the
he use the
He
Steadicam?
invented the Steadicam?
He invented it, yeah.
Yeah.
He would just jump out of the car, and they were shooting scenes where you're not even, normally you need permits.
okay,
They're just
when he's
shooting.
running real quick, get in, and
Right.
you see the side shot of the water, but that's in the Steadicam guy's in a van, and before that they couldn't. And it's so funny because it didn't come about from him being on the ground. The regular camera they couldn't lock down, so he invented this thing that came out the door and was its own entity out the door, so it would stay steady.
Wow.
And he could stay in the van, and the van just fucking shadowed Stallone while he jogged, and it stayed steady. Then the guy realized that I could do this I could be the guy if it's going slow enough. I could just run with the guy,
Right.
and that's how they invented.
That's what they do.
And the guy was smart enough to copyright it, and it's like getting Seinfeld residuals. I mean, they use it everywhere.
They used it, I think, when he was running up the steps, the famous step scene.
They used it throughout the movie,
Yeah.
but supposedly it was invented when he wasn't even on the ground. He was in the van. But they then rewrote the movie based on the fact that they could do that, like the step scene and everything. Everything got easier. That's according to this thing. But they really painted a wrong poster.
That's hilarious.
And he, they just came up with that line.
Wouldn't it
Like,
have been cheaper to just give him
but think about that.
different fucking trunk colors to wear
No,
at
but
the
think,
fight?
but think about that. That's a great, funny moment because the guy just goes to the promoter proves he doesn't give a shit about Rocky. Who's gonna give a shit, Rocky? Just give us a good show.
Well, that's what the whole bit is about, basically.
Right.
That I'm doing is about how OCD I am, and I couldn't handle that, and that
But that's not.
and that promoter reminds me of how many comedy club owners
how
are
sleazy.
like that.
How sleazy is
And
that
how
guy?
they just do everything wrong on the poster
What's
every
in-
fucking time I work anywhere.
What's
the
in that
poster's
guy's
wrong.
hair? What's in that guy's hair?
Yes.
All I know is I'm a good promoter. I've promoted fights all over the country. I don't know what the hell else I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, that.
I don't know what the hell else I'm supposed to. He went to California, gained 50 pounds.
I don't think that guy was ever in another movie or anything.
Yeah, he was. He was in all the surveillance film from Bugatti. He's next to Gravano. I don't know what the hell else I'm supposed to do. It's a good story. That's a good story, Apollo. Rocky, do you believe America is the land of opportunity? He picked you, Rocky. He picked you out of all the other scumbags. He could have taken any scumbag, any whorebag, fleahole, guinea. He could have picked any greaser, any wop from Philly with a big dog and an ugly girlfriend. He could have picked anybody, Rocky, who knew a fat, disgusting slob who worked in the meatpacking plant, who had an alcohol problem, wanted to work for the loan shark that you worked for. He could have picked any one of those people, Rocky. He picked you, Rocky. He picked you. We were about to eat about $50 million because of my mistake. I had this big spook from Los Angeles who happened to be the goddamn fighting champion of the world. I grew up in Eastern Philadelphia amongst the aristocrats. I knew how to use chopsticks before you were born, Rocky. He picked you. He could have picked anyone who used to work in porno films and wrote a script that he wouldn't sell for $200,000. He picked you, Rocky. He picked you to end up alone in an office with me and some unknown matter in my hair that Bill Maher uses.
I think I'm gonna need you on stage
He picked you, Rocky.
I'm gonna grease your hair back.
He picked you, Joe.
See,
Artie could have had anybody on the podcast tonight. It's a Tuesday night. He could have had anyone, but he picked you, Joe. He could have Gino Bisconti here in a second. Gino was hosting an open mic in Washington Heights, and he was doing it for air conditioning money. He could have picked him. No, he picked you, Joe.
Mr. Jurgens, you're a little out of line.
Mr. Jurgens. Yeah, my name is Jurgens, the same as the lotion that's in my hair, Rocky. Is that creeping you out? How creepy is that, Rocky? It looks like Carl Weathers did a money shot all over my fucking hair. He picked me, Rocky. Carl Weathers could have come on anyone's hair tonight. He picked me, Rocky. Then he picked you. Then I picked you. Then you picked me. Universal picked you, Rocky. James Caan has a boxing script. They could have done that, but he wins at the end, not you, Rocky. You lose at the end. And for some reason, a guy like you who could get laid every 4 seconds wants to fuck the chick who works at the pet store. You picked her, Rocky. You could have fucked any chick who works at the pet store. You could have fucked any chick who gets free bird feed every Tuesday night and can't ice skate. He picked you, Rocky. He picked anyone who could say, give her the blades for $10. He picked you. Anyone could have invented the Steadicam. They could have invented it on a network. Any 1976 motion picture. Jaws. Pick one, Rocky. But the Steadicam picked you, Rocky. And then you picked Rambo 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You picked The Specialist. You picked The Expendables number 4. You picked the thing with De Niro last year. You picked Kevin Hart. You could have had any fast-talking spook from the Ya-Ya Club in Philadelphia, but you picked Kevin Hart, Rocky. Kevin Hart picked you, Rocky. Kevin Hart's the hottest actor in the world, and he said, I'll do the Stallone De Niro movie for $50 million. I'm playing Wembley Stadium the next night. Aziz Ansari's doing the O2 Arena run that Michael Jackson does. Michael Jackson had 86 dates at the O2 Arena. Because he died, he had to cancel. Aziz Ansari picked those dates, Rocky. I don't know why I'm telling you that. For some reason, I'm telling you everything that somebody picked. Jergens lotion, yes, Rocky. That's what's in my hair, along with Carl Weathers' cum. I picked you, Rocky. I picked you to put my boutonniere in my face. This boutonniere shoots water, Rocky. Get Burgess Meredith over here and tell him you've got to eat lightning and crap thunder, and I'm going to shoot some boutonniere water in his eye. Rumor is around the acting mill that he likes something shot in his eye, Rocky, Burgess Meredith. But it ain't water. That's right, Rocky. Burgess Meredith plays for the other team. He's a lefty. He's a Roberto Alomar. That's right, Rocky. I picked you. I could have been in any boxing movie. All of them. The Harder They Fall, Requiem for a Dream. Bogart's last 3 films. Any Lee J. Cobb movie ever, 1968, I could have been in. But I picked you, Rocky. I'm getting above scale for this. I also have the contract for the craft service table. That's right, I picked you, Rocky. Thanks, Joe. You feeling better?
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, he doesn't laugh at anything.
Jergens.
He doesn't laugh at anything.
It's a classic Jergens bit.
Jergens. Jergens for me. I could have been Alberto VO5, Rocky. I could have been Salon Selectives level 4, 5, and 6. Instead, I picked Jergens, Rocky. Mr. Jergens. All I know is I'm a good promoter. I've promoted fights all over the world. I don't know what the hell else I'm supposed to do. He's a lefty, Polly. He's a southpaw. This black fucking bald motherfucker doesn't want you fighting him. What's the matter? You don't like money? He'll drop him in 3. You heard what he said. Fly his barber in from Los Angeles. Get that light-skinned brown broad to play his wife. Let's get this going. He could have picked any broad. He picked you, Drina. He could have picked any mulatto-looking woman to play his wife. He picked you, Rocky. That's right, your name is Rocky. For some reason, your wife's name is Rocky. Because that's right, I picked the same suit George Raft wore in Some Like It Hot. George Raft played Spats in Some Like It Hot, Rocky. He had this boutonniere and this suit on. And I'm wearing the same lotion he had on his back hair. That's me, Rocky. Juggins. All right.
All right, dude.
Thanks, man. Thanks for coming. Cheer up.
You're gonna have to be there.
All right. What else you need from
I
me?
need you off to the side.
What else you need? Jesus Christ.
I need you to phone in Juergens.
You're phoning in this. You could have picked any way to do this, Joe. You picked phoning in. I could have had Jim Norton on. Well, not really. I could have had Billy Martingale on. I could have had Chelsea Handler on. If I was willing to blow her. All right, I'll see it. Doesn't it look like Bill Maher has the same thing in his hair? Is that Jerry?
Yes,
It does.
exactly. I knew. Yeah.
New rule. What's that, Bill? Later.
Well, thanks. Thanks for letting me come on and plug. I don't think I said where to get tickets, but
Go. Just
go
say it.
Matarese.com. Go ahead. We need you there on the 12th. May 12th, Philadelphia. Helium, 2 shows. May 12th. It's April 17th now.
I'm going to come by.
You coming?
Yes. I'm going to come by. I'm going to stand in the front and see
I'm
if we...
gonna take an over under on that one.
I'm going to try to buy Chris Cotton a car. Chris, anybody could have had a car. Anybody's car could have broken down, and Keith Robinson refused to help him. He picked you, Chris. By the way, your problem with Alexa led to my single favorite joke I've ever made on the podcast, because Gino couldn't make it the same.